I'm Tiger.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome to the first episode of a brand new podcast from the ANU College of Law, Maddie and Tiger Tackle Law School. So over the next few weeks, we'll introduce you to what it's like to be a student at the ANU College of Law.
We're going to introduce you to different clubs, different initiatives and other aspects of university life that you might not have been exposed to before.
We'll also try to interview some academics and bring in some professionals so that you can get a taste of what it's like after you graduate.
In this episode, we're going to be covering very quickly a whole bunch of topics that we might go into a little bit more depth later on in the series. And we're also going to be introducing ourselves. Let's get started. Tiger, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thanks, Maddie. So I'm a fifth-year law PPE student, which is PPE is Politics, Philosophy and Economics, a very popular degree here at the ANU. In terms of law, I'm actually quite interested in public law. My other interest is politics, so I think things like constitutional law, administrative law really sits at the intersection of law and politics. And what about you, Maddie?
I am a fourth year. I'm doing a Bachelor's of Law and a Bachelor's of International Security Studies in the College of Asia Pacific. I personally have been focusing my law degree on law reform and social justice issues, particularly access to justice. And sort of my key interest areas particularly surround sort of access to family law. Yeah.
Well, it really strikes me that, Maddie, you're the good person and I'm the nerd.
I think that might be the case. I'm not going to deny that. So why did you come to Canberra, Tiger?
Well, long story. My life story is that I was born in China. I came to Australia when I was 5 and I grew up in Melbourne. But I think after so many years in the hustle and bustle of Melbourne, I decided it was time for a change. Actually, the first time I came to Canberra was in Year 10 for a Model UN thing. And it was in the middle of winter. The skies were gloomy. It was so cold. It was raining. And it was just miserable. And I vowed to myself at that point that I would never come back to Canberra. But little did I know that in Year 12, I would come back for the open day, fall in love with the campus in spring, the willow trees, the grass, the crisp air. It was just phenomenal, and I decided from that moment that it was time for a change. It's such a relaxing place, a great place to study, and I've never looked back. This is my 5th year in Canberra.
No, it's phenomenal. Yeah. I think that's a common experience for a lot of people who come up to Canberra. I'm from country Victoria.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. And I knew from quite a young age that I didn't really want to go to uni in Melbourne. I found it all a bit bleak.
Fair.
And, you know, I was so used to sort of wide open spaces and too many people made me a bit anxious. So I came up to Canberra on a bit of a whim and sort of ended up at one of the colleges and looked outside and there were these beautiful gum trees and I just felt immediately like I was home and really haven't looked back. It was kind of the only option for me going forward. So
amazing.
It's so beautiful. The nature really, really gets to
Yeah, and now look at us now. Hey?
I know. Who would have thought? There's plenty of beautiful things in Canberra outside of campus, obviously. It's not entirely ANU. We're in the centre of Australian democracy, which with your intersection of politics and law must be really intriguing for you.
Yeah, especially in my first few years. I was lucky enough to have some friends who work up for MPs at Parliament and they got me into the gallery to watch the handing down of the budget.
Awesome.
And look, there were a lot of people. It was really warm and I may have nodded off while the Treasurer was speaking.
Oh, look, we've all done it.
In terms of national institutions, I'd also add they're also beautiful. Everything is so beautiful here. Like you've got the National Library, affectionately termed the Nash.
We love the Nash.
A great place to study on the weekends. Beautiful cafe by the lake. Things like the High Court, which as a law nerd I love, and you can always pop in to hear some arguments, hear some of the best barristers in the country presenting their arguments before the court.
I'm a bit of a runner myself, very usefully. Lake Burley Griffin is divided into these sort of 5-kilometre basins. Very useful for someone who can only run 5
I
kilometres.
wouldn't know.
But more generally, Canberra was designed, in the early 20th century as a city to live in. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. It's got a fantastic quality of life as it was intended to be. So it's a fantastic place to live.
Well, I guess we lead quite busy lives as students. And I know you, Maddie, for one, balance quite a few things like working, student life around campus, and also, of course, your study. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Of course. I am doing full-time study at the moment, and I also work part-time as a paralegal in a little law firm on the other side of the lake, which is beautiful hands-on experience, really nice to sort of see the practical outcomes of all of the theoretical things we've been studying. Of course, also studying on campus. I'm here most days. And to balance that out, social life is obviously so important. particularly in the first couple of years, building connections is so crucial. Particularly last year, I was really involved in clubs and societies on campus, particularly the College of Asia-Pacific Student Society.
Yes, I do hear that we have political royalty in our midst. You were president, is that correct?
I was, and it was a fantastic experience. It was really good sort of teamwork skills and fantastic opportunities arising basically every week to talk to amazing, slightly scary Canberra celebrities.
What kind of people did you have on?
We had a couple of events with diplomats, particularly in my first year involved. We also had some events with different academics talking about particular policy issues. And we also had sort of social nights. We had like a big ball last year, that sort of thing. It's really important to round out your student experience.
Of course.
How about you? What do you do on campus?
Yeah, well, a few things. Especially the past few years, I've been quite involved with the Law Student Society, the LSS. I ran the competitions last year, and before that I was quite involved in things like mooting, negotiations, witness examination. A highlight for me was actually the grand final of the witness examination competition, which we did in the brand new Chief Justice's courtroom at the ACT Supreme Court.
That is so cool.
It was honestly the most beautiful courtroom I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Also, I work part-time as well.
Awesome.
I'm a paralegal at the Attorney General's Department in the Office of International Law.
Awesome.
And I thought, look, given my public law interest, it's a great opportunity to learn more about another area of law that might not come up in your day-to-day study.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just been absolutely fascinating doing some research and just, knowing the matters that are going around in the office, and they all have national significance as well.
Yeah.
So that's been a really, really rewarding experience.
No, fantastic.
So, Maddie, let's narrow in on the law school experience. What kind of professional opportunities have you had around law school?
Well, I'm actually at the moment undertaking a college-arranged internship with a online family law firm that specialises, in access to justice, which is really cool. That was a really, painless experience. You sort of put in an application with the college saying that you wanted to do an internship this semester, and they sent you all the opportunities that arise, and you apply for them individually. That has been absolutely fantastic. A real eye-opening experience, and being able to be introduced to some of the sort of experts in the profession has been really, really cool.
Yeah, well, tell us a bit more about the research you've been doing there.
Oh, okay. I have been focusing in at the moment on particularly the Kennan principle, which is it's a way in which in property settlements within the family law you can account for domestic violence. There's also heaps of opportunities around campus to do things like research assisting. You were a research assistant, weren't you, Tiger?
Yes, I was. I was an RA to Daniel Stewart, who's a senior lecturer here at the College of Law. He does a lot of work in terms of freedom of information law, administrative law, and I think that was a great opportunity to learn about the issues that are really at the forefront of the debate right now. I think another opportunity that also allows you to do that is being a student editor for the Federal Law Review, which is a law journal that does a lot of public law stuff. And there, you read through all the articles that you're editing, and you also learn about the kind of issues that are being hotly debated right now. Now, Maddie, I heard you were also an editor of a journal as well. Is that correct?
I am. There's a few student-run sort of initiatives around campus. One of them is the ANU Journal of Law and Technology. I was someone who didn't know a lot previously about technology, and it was an area that I really wanted to focus in on and learn a little bit about. So that's been really fantastic in that way. And it really helps with your essays, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think knowing the AJLC back to front really saves you time when it comes to referencing.
Oh, totally.
And, the deadline's coming up in 2 hours and you can just pump it out.
Yeah, no, entirely. Of course, it's not all about work at the College of Law. What do you do for fun outside of uni, Tiger?
Well, Maddie, I'm not sure I'm the right person to be asking about this. Well, I think in my spare time, when I do feel so inclined, and this is quite rarely, I do go to Club Lime, which is our new gym with the pool in the middle of campus at Canberra.
Awesome.
And that's always, they're really nice facilities for you to do some exercise, get the blood pumping. I find that the more stressed I am, the more time I take out to actually do exercise. So I've also been going for long walks around the lake,
love that.
Through New Acton. And it just shows you how beautiful Canberra really is.
Particularly in autumn.
Yeah, with all the leaves.
The beautiful colours.
Yeah. Also, I think campus is actually quite a nice place to do some shopping. I myself love buying books. I definitely buy more than I read. So I love going into Harry Hartog, which has both new books, textbooks, and also second-hand books. And there are some real gems up the top level with the second-hand books. I recently bought an opera book.
Very nice.
All like synopses of different operas, which I took with me when I went to see the opera in Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, there are heaps of clubs on campus. It's a really good way to explore other interests that you might have. So it's not all law school all of the time. I know getting involved in CAPS, the College of Asia Pacific Student Society, was really important for me because I was very much putting my second degree second. It was really nice to meet people who were equally as enthusiastic about security issues in the Asia Pacific. So definitely that has been a really, really good experience. Other things you can get involved in are things like Stupol, the dreaded Stupol. You can get involved in things like the ANU Students Association or ANUSA.
Yeah, you were involved?
I was a general representative in my second year, so I did this big report into regional advocacy on campus.
Wow.
Which is really, really important, and it's a cause that a lot of later people have taken up, which has been really, really good. Other things to get involved in, particularly if you're at college, there's Interhol Sport and Interhol Social. First time I ever played AFL actually was in Canberra.
Wow. A bit disappointing coming from a Victorian.
I know. What can I say? I was very proud of myself. I had a mouth guard and everything.
Wow.
Really good way to break the ice with a whole bunch of people you don't know, is trying to avoid being hit by a flying very heavy. No one actually tells you how heavy AFL balls are. But there you go.
And what do you think? Stupol or AFL, which is the more aggressive?
No comment. But overall, Canberra is this fantastic student city. So if you're someone who really, really wants to keep your university and your social life separate, Canberra is filled with people. Every January, new people come in looking for friends. We have our sort of university students. We have our new grads, because obviously a lot of the public service is based here, and a lot of people looking for friends. So there are heaps of social clubs and things set up outside of campus for you to go and meet new people with maybe a bit more varied interests.
Yeah, well, to add to that, I'd also say there are a lot of opportunities to get involved with volunteering. So, for example, a few years ago, I co-founded a volunteer tutoring initiative for regional students called RESN, the Regional Education Support Network, which Maddie was also involved in for a period. And I think that's a great way to meet a lot of people, and it's been amazing to see how well we've grown from just an idea a few years ago to now over 500 volunteers.
Yeah.
So if you want to meet people, that's a great opportunity as well.
Genuinely, it is so good to have a sort of joint cause and be working towards it, and it's a really good way to develop skills that you may not have developed through your degree as well. I know I've been using a lot of my sort of student experiences to develop my marketing capabilities, because we live in the 21st century and marketing seems to be a sort of prerequisite for most things. So, there's heaps of opportunities like that. It's fantastic.
Probably important skills as well for your own artistic talents, Maddie. I hear we've got a bit of a singer here, a professional singer.
Oh, shush.
Do you want to tell us a bit about...
Yeah, I have been sort of an amateur musician for sort of the last 7 or 8 years. So it's been a really nice sort of downtime to pick up different instruments, learn how to play them, that sort of thing. Yeah.
During COVID especially, I think.
During COVID.
I used to play French horn.
Oh my God, no.
So got that going during COVID, got the old trumpet going as well.
Incredible.
Great way to pass the time. But I think if you guys like to follow Maddie's music, we'll post the link in the comments. We'd better wrap it up there, Maddie. This essay of mine's not going to write itself. So in future weeks, we'll tackle some of the things we've touched on in this quick, brief convo in more depth. We might talk a bit more about the LSS. We'll talk about clubs and initiatives like Green Law, Law Reform and Social Justice. We might interview some JD students and postgraduate students to learn a bit more about their experience. Do you have any ideas, Maddie?
I think it would be really good to interview some international students about their experiences, particularly in the light of COVID. Talking, I think, a little bit about college life and the law and academic support. These, of course, are just some ideas off the top of our heads. So if any of our viewers/listeners have any suggestions or things you'd like us to talk about or go into more detail about, please let us know. Thank you so much, Tiger. This has been an absolute pleasure.
This has been awesome, and I think this is just the beginning of a blossoming partnership. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much.